Call the meeting to order. Mary Lee, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ann, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Ms. Chinesi Zerker, Mrs. Boring, Mr. Reiner, Mayor Lechleiter,
Here.
Mr. Gerber, Mr. Keenan,
Here.
Vice Mayor Saleh.
Here.
Thank you. Well, we have several presentations, proclamations, recognitions to begin tonight's meeting. So let's get started. First of all, the status of our CNG partnership. And we have a number of individuals here. Dana, would you like to assist me? Or, well, I see them coming forward. Mr. White? There you go. Thank you very much. And you can start to make the introductions. And I think that we have some individuals from the city staff. We have no city staff in connection with this. We have, okay, all right. Nobody else wants to come forward? All right, very good. We've got some shy staff this evening, apparently. Mr. White, as you know, CEO of IGS, and why don't you take it away, Mr. White?
Okay, well, thank you. I'll be brief. I wanted to start by thanking the city for its leadership and forward thinking in building the station. I think the project started almost 4 years ago. We appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that. Our role, just as a reminder, is to be the administrator of using it for the non-public vehicles and reaching out to the community and trying to get non-fleet usage. For us, we think it's been a very good project. It's led to a lot of interesting partnerships within the city and some of the businesses that are using it, and it's been a very good learning opportunity and platform for us to build a little bit more of our business. And I have Jim Bache, who's our COO, and he's in charge of our natural gas vehicle efforts. So I'm going to let him give a little bit of the specifics.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a couple comments. It's been, this Sunday will be 9 months since we cut the ribbon out there, and I think a lot of times we thought it would make a lot of sense to kind of look back and share with you some of the successes we've had with the partnership. Just real quick, two of our core values I wanted to just highlight real quick. We believe in energy independent United States powered by domestically produced environmentally responsive resources, and we also value developing alternative sources and uses of energy. And the station and the partnership that the city of Dublin had with and has in place with IGS has really been able to allow us to build on that platform. Since we got rolling with this station, we were able to form a company called IGS Energy CNG Services. We started with 1 employee about a year ago, and now we're up to 4 employees. We actually recruited a business leader out of Florida who relocated to the Dublin area and now is a resident here. And we have plans as we move forward to continue to build on that team of people in the area. I actually, at one time, personally had an office over at the deck, and I know how important it is to get new tech companies going in the area. So great example as we were able to sort of build on that. Our role with the station is to be out marketing the station to fleets in Dublin and Central Ohio. We've had a lot of success at doing that over the last 9 months. Some of the companies that are now using that station I thought I would share with you real quick if you haven't been out there. Waste Management, Advanced Drainage Systems, which is a pipe manufacturing business in Central Ohio. Stanley Steamer, Peabody Landscaping, Smith Dairy, the Transportation Research Center out in Marysville, the track where they test all the vehicles, W.W. Williams, and the Solid Waste Authority, and several others. All of these companies are now enjoying a fuel that's much cleaner and half the cost. Sometimes with these stations you have technological glitches, and happy to say we had a couple small ones at the start, but our customers are really enjoying a great situation. And the quality of fuel sometimes can be a challenge, and that's been great as well. The economic ripple effect, just to touch on a couple of the positive domino effects of that we've experienced above and beyond starting a company and now with 4 employees. W.W. Williams, which is a 100-year-old company just down the road, a couple $100 million fifth-generation family. They've now entered in a big way the conversion business. So one of the challenges is, okay, I have a place to get my vehicle filled up, but how do I get my vehicle converted? And now they are now in the conversion business. They've retrofitted their garage, and they have employees trained to be able to do that. They're also entered the station maintenance business. So some of the stations popping up in the region, they're in the business of doing that. Stanley Steamer, who we all know is just down the street, they're fueling up there, as I mentioned, and this is their hub for retrofitting vehicles. And as you can imagine, they use a lot of fuel both for the vehicle and also the engine inside the vehicle. And so they've modified one of those vehicles where not only the vehicle runs on it, but the engine itself, the Kubota engine, runs on CNG. And their goal is, once they work through this prototype, to roll that out both locally and ideally nationally. Advanced Drainage System has a fleet of 600 trucks that burn about 9 million gallons of fuel a year, and they have bought a vehicle that fills up at the station every day to deliver their products, and they're working through an engine prototype that they worked on with Cummins Engine. So Cummins Engine, which is just down the road, worked with them very closely to work out the challenges with running a CNG fuel in those trucks. And a couple bugs early on, but they've worked through them, and they're very happy with the experience they're having with those trucks, both for their fleet. And I know Cummins Engines, if they were here, has also taken some of that knowledge and taken it to other customers. Transportation Research Center, which is the track I mentioned out in Marysville, they were filling up there very heavily through the winter, and they have determined that this is a good location for them to test a lot of their CNG prototypes. So they've had some heavy-duty vehicles out there running around the track and then filling up here so that it can go back to the track and do their testing. Ohio State, who we have in our building tomorrow to talk through some things they're working on. Their Center of Automotive Research down on Kinnear has been over to the station and over to our building a couple times. And then lastly, IGS. We announced that we're opening a whole corridor of CNG stations up and down I-79 in West Virginia. We'll be opening the first of those this summer and intend to have 4 to 8 stations to connect that state to the CNG grid. And we're working on a number of other stations in Ohio that we're excited to announce here at some point in 2013. So just wanted to take a couple minutes and say, a partnership that started, as Scott mentioned, 4 years ago, and we cut the ribbon June 28th. Just very excited about the ripple effect of what the city of Dublin started when they committed to run your own fleet on CNG, and all the companies in the area, both using CNG or into research now, or testing trucks, or running their own fleets on CNG. So it's a great story and a real testimony to the progressiveness of the city. And so I just wanted to share that with you this evening. Thank you. Sure.
What's the current cost right now on CNG fuel?
Cost of the fuel is $1.99 a gallon.
Right. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
great. We're certainly, very proud of what the city's done and the city staff, and certainly, council's obviously been supportive of this initiative, and we're very happy to have this partnership with you, and it's all the better, that you are located in the city of Dublin. We're certainly very proud about that as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, moving on, I'm going to take my place up here at the lectern. We have at least one proclamation, and as I mentioned, some other recognitions and so forth. So if Glenn Ide is in the audience, if you want to join me up here.
Cam?
We should have footprints, like they do for television shows. Yeah, exactly.
No, just
yeah.
stay there.
Well,
That's right.
Thank you, Glenn. And for those in the audience that may not know, and those watching on our live streaming, Glenn, are you our lead ambassador?
No, I'm just the representative of the group. They're all right here. We all bike every day, and we really appreciate the city giving us this opportunity.
Great. Maybe we can get the rest of come on, you guys turned out. Why don't you stand behind Glenn and I? See if we can get you in the camera photo here. Come on up here behind us. I'm not sure we can get them all on camera at the same time. We have everybody? Great. Yeah. As you may know, this is National Volunteer Week, and we're honored to have our bicycle ambassadors with us this evening to accept this proclamation. And if you'll bear with me, I'd like to read the proclamation. It states as follows: whereas the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that changes our communities, our nation, and our world, and whereas volunteers, National Service Corps members, corporate citizens, and social entrepreneurs connect with local service opportunities through service organizations, schools, and local governments. And whereas individuals and communities are at the center of social action, discovering their power to make a difference and true impact. And whereas during this week, all across the nation, volunteers are recognized for their commitment to service. And whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our nation's problems, and whereas our country's volunteer force of over 63 million is a great treasure, and whereas the City of Dublin's active volunteer force is a great point of pride that makes a positive social and economic impact on our community, and whereas volunteer engagement is a vital partnership and valued citizen relationship. Now therefore, I, Timothy A. Lechleiter, Mayor of Dublin, on behalf of Dublin City Council, do hereby proclaim April 21st through the 27th, 2013, as National Volunteer Week in the City of Dublin, Ohio, and urge my fellow citizens to volunteer in their respective communities. By volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can inspire others to act by encouraging understanding and compassion. Congratulations. Now, in connection with National Volunteer Week, we also have a Presidential Volunteer Service Award. And just a few words about what this award is and what it's about. The city is a certifying agency of the White House Council's Presidential Volunteer Service Award. With nearly 100 volunteers recognized in the city this year, we are also awarding the 2012 Dublin Bicycle Ambassadors with a group award, the Presidential Silver Medal of Service. And Christine, why don't you come on up here since you're such a valued member of our staff and obviously a big part of this. A little history. In April of 2012, the city launched its first Bicycle Ambassador program, which collectively rides about 1,000 miles per month on our shared use path system. The Dublin Bicycle Ambassadors represent safe biking practices at events, encourage safe biking practices, lead group rides, assist our residents with wayfinding, and report structure and maintenance issues to the city staff. There are now 40 bicycle ambassadors, some of whom you see here this evening, volunteering out on our pathways and roads, making an impact on safety and community awareness for the healthy habit of biking. Staff members from police, parks, administration, and Washington Township all work together to make this effort happen. So congratulations to the Dublin Bicycle Ambassadors here with us tonight and your colleagues. And enclosed, we have a certificate and a letter from the President of the United States. And Glenn, you're going to accept this. Christine's telling me they win a trip to the White House. We'll see about that. But I think this bears reading, if you don't mind. It is on the White House stationery. You'll have to trust me on that. Congratulations on receiving the President's Volunteer Service Award, and thank you for helping to address the most pressing needs in your community and our country. In my inaugural address, I stated that we need a, by the way, the President wrote this. In my inaugural address, I stated that we need a new era of responsibility, a recognition on the part of every American that we have duties to ourselves, our nation, and the world. These are duties that we do not grudgingly accept, but rather seize gladly, firm in the knowledge that there is nothing so satisfying to the spirit than giving our all to a difficult task. Your volunteer service demonstrates the kind of commitment to your community that moves America a step closer to its great promise. Our nation faces the most challenging economic crisis in a lifetime, and we will only renew America if we all work together. Individuals, the private sector, and government must combine efforts to make real and lasting change so that each person has the opportunity to fulfill his or her potential. While government can open more opportunities for us to serve our communities, it is up to each of us to seize those opportunities. Thank you for your devotion to service and for doing all you can to shape a better tomorrow for our great nation. And it's signed by President Barack Obama. I'm going to give this to Glenn. You can keep that with the proclamation there. And Glenn, I'm going to pass this off to you. Why don't you say a few words about the program?
I just want to thank the mayor and the council and the city manager and Christine for starting this program. It's an unbelievable program. I have to tell you that I moved here 10 years ago, and one of the reasons that I came here to start a new bank was because of the vast bicycle-friendly community that you are, and you've been adding to the number of miles on that multi-purpose path. I ride it almost every day. I love it, and all the bicycle ambassadors love it. I see them out there. So I really appreciate the city. I appreciate your planning, and I appreciate your vision in coming up with this program. Thank you very much.
And finally, this is the actual award here. It says it's presented by the Corporation for National Community Service to Dublin Bicycle Ambassadors in recognition and appreciation of your commitment to strengthening our nation and for making a difference through volunteer service. And there you have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, just one thing to add. As part of your conversation or comments, you mentioned about the maintenance and the work that the volunteers do on the bike path. And periodically, Christine or somebody will send me information that the volunteers send in with pictures, and they provide that directly to staff. And it's amazing how much assistance they provide us to identify areas that need to be fixed or improved for safety issues, and then also to thank the park staff and the engineering staff for their quick responses to those issues. So their work really is something that impacts us on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Well, there's some more very noteworthy recognitions to take place. I'm going to sit down now and ask one of our staff members from our Human Resources Department, Mary Kay Ruette, if you would come forward, please. And anyone else that would like to come forward. Mr. Wagner here and some other individuals. These recognitions, and Tim and Mary Kay will speak about them in more detail, but there are recognitions related to our health program here in the city. There is a Golden Apple Award. There is a Healthiest Employers Award. I know that was reported by the media here recently. And then finally, there is a Fit Friendly Gold Award. So I'll let you folks take it away. Thank you.
We're just glad to be the hat trick of fun stuff this evening. So this is kind of nice. No, we're excited to really celebrate and recognize the wellness program here in Dublin. And I'm going to turn it over to the folks that really do the work and make it successful. Mary Kay, our HR manager, and Molly Steiner, who is our wellness coordinator.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of council. We are pleased to announce that the City of Dublin and the Healthy by Choice Health Management Plan has won several awards over the past several months. And we have some presenters here that are going to share those awards with you. The first award is the Golden Apple from United Healthcare, and we have Rob Falkenberg, the CEO of United Healthcare of the Ohio Group, and also Linda Quick, our Strategic Account Executive, here to present that award. So I'm going to introduce Rob.
Great, thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's great to be here. My name is Rob Falkenberg. Just move this up a little bit. And anyway, it's great that you guys obviously have something very special going on here in the city of Dublin. United Healthcare, for the past 6 years, has been recognizing our most innovative, most impactful organizations that we either insure or help administer in partnership programs to create a culture where wellness is really part of working and being part of an organization. We came up with an award that we refer to as the Well-Deserved Award. This past year, there were 16 organizations that we are recognizing across the country. The city of Dublin happens to be one of 4 organizations that we're recognizing across the country to win this award for the second time. And we actually have the Golden Apple is the designation given to a 2-time award-winning organization. So that's this particular plaque. I do want to spend just a few seconds recognizing some extraordinary work that is happening here in the city of Dublin and the individuals that are part of that. I've been out to meet with leadership here at the city of Dublin over the past couple of years, a few times. Both times I was here, Marcia Grigsby was in the meeting with me. One of the comments I said to Marcia is, it always starts at the top. If an organization wants to see wellness sort of become embedded in the way people are attracted and participate in a program, it's something that has to happen at the very top of the organization. So I want to also just recognize her for being part of those meetings that I've had. Also, Mary Kay, who just had a chance to speak, she has another job in addition to what she's been doing here around your wellness initiatives. Your wellness initiative, I believe most of the members here of the council are part of this program, so you probably know there's a lot of opportunities to participate. You can get to know your numbers through biometric events. You can get rewards and for participating in doing something about your health and participating in attending classes, and you can then use those awards or points to either help fund your accounts that help pay for your health care, or to use them to everything from using for pool passes to joining other classes at the rec center here in town. This is a very comprehensive initiative that you guys are doing. It's not just a lot. It looks like a lot of things, perhaps from somebody looking from the outside, but being inside this industry and working with, in the case here in Ohio, we insure over 1.7 million Ohioans that are carrying around a card in their purse or their wallet that says United Healthcare. And again, you're one of, you're only a few that's being recognized nationally, one of 2 here in Ohio, and the only that is being recognized for the second time. So I want to give a special accolade to Mary Kay for the work that she and her team have done. Tim, who has come in, where's Tim? There he is, sorry. Tim has come in and taken over for a very capable head of human resources, and he's carrying on that momentum. And then Molly, whose name was also recognized. I don't know where Molly is either. I keep turning around, sorry about that. But Molly has been, and as you look at Molly, you can tell that she knows a little bit about fitness and taking care of herself, so she certainly has some credibility when it comes to helping other people who want to embark on that journey for themselves personally. And then there's also a committee of representatives of various jobs and departments across the city that take very seriously their role to be part of understanding how your healthcare program is operating, next steps, getting ready for negotiations and other things that take place on a strategic long-term basis. So this is something very extraordinary. That's why I'm here. I want to recognize you for that, and congratulations to you. I happen to also be on the board of the local American Heart Association, and I was recruited as I walked in the door today to also recognize you for the second plaque. So I'm bearing multiple gifts today. This is the second plaque. This is the Fit Friendly Worksite Award. This is something the Heart Association gives out to organizations across the country and here locally. And so since I'm on the board, I thought maybe I could also provide that. I also have a check in hand today. This will pay for some of these programs, not all of them, but it pays for some of them. And so there's something else part of all this. So if I can take any questions, I will. Otherwise, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us tonight. The next person or persons I'd like to introduce are representatives from Columbus Business First, and they're going to talk a little bit about the Healthiest Employer Award that the City of Dublin recently won as well. So I'd like to introduce Don DePiro. He's the president and publisher of Columbus Business First, and Marissa Michaels from Ohio Health.
Great, thank you.
Can I recruit you to help there? Thank you, Mayor and distinguished council members. We too, and echoing all of Rob's comments that he just made, recognize the importance of a healthy workplace. And as a result, we partnered with an organization out of Indianapolis called Healthiest Employers to recognize healthy organizations across Central Ohio. This was the first year we did it. We just announced the honorees just a couple of weeks ago. And the supplement that you're being handed was included in a recent edition of Columbus Business First. And if you turn to the center section, page 10, it's not breaking news, I'm sure you already know, but the City of Dublin was recognized as the #1 mid-sized employer in Central Ohio. So congratulations from all of us. I would like to recognize our presenting sponsor, and that's Ohio Health, which you all know is the wonderful operator of our beautiful Dublin Methodist Hospital, and Marissa Michaels joins me this evening in presenting this award. Our other underwriters are Aetna, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Medical Mutual. If I may just take a moment, we also unveiled the results of a nationwide Harris Interactive poll that's also cited in that supplement. It shows that 51% of workers nationally say wellness programs encourage them to work harder and perform better. 59% say they have more energy to be productive at work as a result of their participation in employer-sponsored wellness programs. 45% of employees say an employer-sponsored wellness program would encourage them to stay in their current employment situation. So it keeps people in their jobs, which is a very good thing. And 43% say wellness programs lead them to miss fewer days of work. So that's very good. So on behalf of Business First, our presenting sponsor, Ohio Health and Aetna, Anthem, and Medical Mutual, congratulations for being the #1 employer in Central Ohio for being a healthiest employer. Congratulations, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Before you sit down.
What criteria do you judge these on?
The company, the organization that we work with, Healthiest Employers, our company, Columbus Business First, as you may know, we're in our 29th year of publishing business news and information here in Central Ohio. We're part of a chain of publications and digital publications, 40 of these across the country. Healthiest Employees partners with us across the country. What's interesting is they're a database company. So they have very, very specific psychographics and demographics, as well as all types of interesting measurements that they use. We don't divulge them entirely for proprietary reasons. They are the #1 healthiest employer database organization in the country, and their information is extremely credible. And of course, you all believe in that because Dublin was #1, right? So we can share some of those demographics and some of that criteria with you, but it is proprietary information.
Do you go to the employer and ask
Yes.
what programs? Okay,
That's
so you do send
exactly
them a
right.
survey.
Oh yeah, there's a specific, a fairly detailed survey that your team and staff filled out here as a part of the application process. I will give you a little scoop. This year, it was just kind of an in-paper publication. We will be hosting a major event next March, healthiest employers. And we will use, as we did this year, the United States Small Business Administration definition. Companies with fewer than 99 associates will be in the small business or small employer category. 100 to 500 will be in the mid-size, which of course Dublin was #1, and then 500 and larger will be the large employer category. So we hope to see you back next year on stage.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for
Michael.
I just wanted to make a quick comment and thank Tim for his picking the pieces up here and moving forward, and Mary Kay and the rest of the staff. But be remiss not to mention Dave Harding, who was really instrumental at the very beginning of this process. And wanted to just say a shout out to Dave and thank you if he's watching.
Well, as a nearly 18-year resident of Dublin, I'm very proud on our city's behalf, too.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
You know, another exciting aspect of this is that, you know, it started here with the city, and we've been able to pass it on to the citizens with
Right.
free medical and advanced outdoor activities and bicycle trails.
Wonderful
and
recreation center.
so we've tried to push it from the government into all the homes to help out the citizenry.
Absolutely. So our deepest congratulations again, and I know you join me in thanking Ohio Health for being our presenting sponsor. We couldn't do it without them. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you.
Marcia, on that note, I don't expect you, though you may know this off the top of your head, but back when we first started talking about this wellness program, one of the reasons that we talked about it was because we wanted to control our health care costs for our city and for our taxpayers. And I'm curious, I know that in the first year we kept very close tabs, or at least we were apprised of it, and it was like, wow, we're saving a lot of money, but I haven't heard that figure. So maybe in a memo coming up, if we could get the figures for how much we've saved, because not only has it impacted our health in a wonderful way, it's impacted our bottom line.
Right, and that's one of the things we've talked about at staff level, that one of the things that first caused us to take a harder look at our coverage and what we provided was the fact that the costs were continuing to accelerate pretty rapidly. And part of the discussion was the only true way you can reduce or contain costs is for all of us to be healthier. And not only does it save money, but it also allows employees to be on the job more frequently and just have a better life because they feel better. So the past year, we actually saw our overall costs go down compared to the previous year. So 2012, the overall cost for our medical plan was less than it was in 2011.
Does that even happen anywhere else? I mean, that's really something. Congratulations, everybody. That's terrific.
And some of the changes that have been implemented over the years, really, we'd like to thank council for your willingness to try some of the new things and make some of the changes, because it's not easy to do, and you do get pushback from employees and concerns about changes in the program. But I think it has been successful, and I think we have a lot of employees that their health has become better because of some of the things that we do at the city. So we appreciate your support. And also, I'd like to echo the committee that at the staff level that works on this with Mary Kay and Tim and Molly. It truly is a across-the-board effort and has been successful. So we appreciate that, and thanks for the recognition.
Well, I'd like to say, lately I've seen Claudia, and darling, you look wonderful. However, I'm looking at this picture in the middle, and I'm going, boy, you work hard for it, don't you? It's just amazing here. So it's obviously employees are taking advantage of it, even though it's a lot of hard work.
Well, I'd like to add my thanks, Mr. DePiero and Ms. Michaels, for the recognition. We appreciate very much. I do hope that we are on stage next year for continued recognition. And also thanks to Mr. Falkenberg for both recognitions. We appreciate that certainly very much. And as Marcia points out, certainly Council has been supportive, from the beginning. It was non-traditional, I guess, would be a good way to describe it in the beginning. I won't say that we necessarily needed convincing, but it was different, from what we're all accustomed to over the years, and so, Council should be recognized for, as you did, for their support for this program. Mr. Falkenberg mentioned, Marcia and leading by example, not only in meetings, but I know Marcia, I know oftentimes if I'm calling around lunchtime, for Marcia, she's not only, participating, by being in meetings, but she's participating. I don't want to give away your entire program, Marcia, but, I know she's out walking and doing the classes and so forth, so she's actively engaged. And then also, recognizing staff, our former HR Director, Dave Harding, Mary Kay, and the rest of staff, and Tim Wagner carrying this forward. And then finally, the employees. It's really the employees that make this work. I think it was certainly an adjustment for them, but I've personally seen the transformation in employees, and we've heard many stories about employees losing weight, having a greater awareness of their diet, their blood pressure, and certainly, to be sure it benefits the city in terms of fewer sick days and fewer trips to the doctor and fewer claims and so forth. But it also, I have to believe, enhances their personal lives. So that's a great thing, if we can contribute in some way, to them living healthier lives, beyond, just the work that they do for the city of Dublin. So thanks to everyone. I wish we could end the meeting at this point, but on all this great news, thank you all very much. Moving on to citizen comments with respect to items not on tonight's agenda. Carrie Stearns, if you'd like to come forward.
Carrie Stearns, 7269 Coventry Woods Drive, 43017. First of all, I'd like to apologize for my appearance. My better half is golfing. I've been stuck on soccer duty and everything else tonight, so I apologize for that. On the last council meeting, we had some pretty negative comments made about the Dublin Soccer League, and I just wanted to make a statement based from our staff about the Dublin Soccer League, leave this entire conversation on a good note, and talk soccer next time we're out the soccer fields, where it should be. This is from our staff. The Dublin Soccer League embodies the spirit of community at its best. Our foundation is built on the efforts of over 400 volunteer coaches who collectively coach over 2,500 participants, playing nearly 2,000 soccer games each year. At the heart of the league is three very dedicated staff members. Their behind-the-scenes efforts make the DSL a noteworthy program that has thrived and endured for more than 30 years. The city's longtime partnership with DSL is the third essential element that has contributed to Dublin's remarkable community soccer program. Providing attractive parks and green spaces, without which the program could not function, the city's Avery Park and Dari fields are the envy of surrounding communities who frequently marvel at Dublin's plush soccer facilities. We have much to be proud of in the Dublin soccer community, and our focus should remain on working together to provide Dublin residents with a well-run program for the enjoyment of all, rather than the isolated conflicts that frequently take our focus off our mission to provide the best possible soccer experience for our youth. In closing, I think none of us wanted to spend as much time as we did on this topic. I hope in the future it's nothing but positive from this point forward. Let's just let these kids have fun, play soccer. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Moving forward to our consent agenda, we have 7 items listed. Ask council members if they wish to remove one or more of the items on tonight's consent agenda. Hearing nothing, I would move that we approve the actions requested in the 7 items listed on this evening's consent agenda. Is there a second? Thank you. And if you call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Saleh? Yes. Mayor Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Nancy Zerker?
Yes.
Mrs. Boring?
Yes.
Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to the second reading of ordinances and beginning with ordinance 27-13.
Rezoning approximately 26.5 acres located on the north side of Brings Road, approximately 1,100 feet west of the intersection with Ederman Road from R Rural District and R1 Restricted Suburban Residential District 2 PUD Planned Unit Development District to establish a 45-lot single-family detached residential development and 7.08 acres of open space.
Is Very good, thank you. Claudia, whenever you're ready.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, we bring this ordinance forward again for second reading, and there were questions at the first reading on April 8, particularly about one of the conditions that the Planning and Zoning Commission had imposed regarding three-car garages, which we're bringing forward with that condition being eliminated out of our recommendation for approval. And then also engineering questions regarding water and sewer services for the Patch family home on Rings Road, and then also the roundabout there at Rings and the future Rings Causeway connector, which we've all addressed in the second reading memo that is in front of you. I'll just put up the proposed site plan again in case there's any public here that hasn't seen it yet, but that is the proposal for 45 lots just south of Ballantrae and north of Rings Road. And we are recommending approval of the ordinance, as I said, with that condition eliminated regarding the garages. And the applicant is here with their team as well to answer any questions.
Any questions of Claudia?
The only thing that I wanted to ask Claudia, the road that connects from Rings Road, and it will ultimately be the Amlin bypass, for lack of a better name. Did I hear right that at some point that road will be relocated?
Yes, I have in this presentation, I'll find it here, a drawing that engineering provided. And I'm going to ask Paul to come up and help me out. But yes, essentially, when the roundabout will be there, that road will be shifted slightly.
Yeah, and what you see up on the screen is actually just a reconfiguration of the intersection. Initially, it'll be a stop-controlled intersection at this location, and then we anticipate in the future, as the road gets designed and constructed over to Causeway Road, that we would have a roundabout at Rings Road and what we have initially called Churchman Road, and then an extension to the south going down to Tuttle Crossing Boulevard that'll extend from Avery Road over west to the Causeway Road area.
Okay.
So that this relocation is really just this segment right here.
Okay. And that'll actually help with traffic maintenance when that gets constructed ultimately, having the road in a different location?
Yeah, it actually will help with the construction of this roundabout right here.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't spending a lot of money on one thing only to have it change in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Other question, in terms of utilities, we have in the past gotten a lot of interest from property owners south of here and a little bit to the east in city sewer and water. But this, if I understand the way things work in this area, this is going to be under Rings Road, servicing to the north, not the south, this extension westward?
Correct. What you see on this exhibit is this would be the water main
Right.
that would terminate on the south side of the roadway, and as well as a sanitary sewer extension. But this is in the Kramer sewer shed. Anything south of Rings Road will be in a different sewer shed and will be served, basically from the south.
Right. I just wanted to clarify that because we've had, I don't know if other council members have gotten inquiries, but I've gotten multiple inquiries from property owners on the south, and it's really hard to understand when the utilities are that close, why they can't tie in, but it has to do with planning area and where the way the land falls and the way the sewers fall. But I wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you.
While
Please.
while you're still there.
Yes.
We did have extensive discussion about the water and sewer on the Patch household, the property there. So could you explain what you said here? Because it sort of sounds like you said, well, this could be done, but it doesn't sound like you're saying you're doing it.
Well, we're at preliminary right now, and so we'll be back with final development plan, which will have final engineering. What I shared with Mr. Patch was, in order to get service to his property would be a main extension, which we could have the developer do as part of their public infrastructure installation. It would get it approximately to this point with an 8-inch water line. They would need to then extend a service line from their property over to this main. We would have to give them an easement across this city-owned property. Eventually, we'll own this reserve area, which I think we would be glad to do. But there would be some cost associated with that, and probably our estimation is anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 in private property owner cost in both tap and connection fees as well as the service line installation.
But that's consistent with what we've had other residents do, for instance, Indian Run.
Correct.
They all had to run it from the center line back to their house.
Correct.
What about the landscaping for Patches? Didn't we agree to do some things over there for them?
Yes, that was one of the conditions that was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we've shared with the applicant that we want them to meet with the Patches and that they come up with a plan that everybody can agree on.
Okay, so that's in the works. The relocation piece is in the light blue lines?
Correct.
And so that moves that roundabout and that roadway a little further away from Patches property as well? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Claudia, did you have anything else to your presentation?
I did not.
Great. Mr. Hale, would you like to say anything?
If the Patches need anything from us in terms of easements or whatever to make that connection, we're happy to do it, although we think it's going to be over the city-owned ground. The city's going to end up owning that. If we happen to own it in the interim or anything and they need an easement, we'll make a commitment that we'll cooperate and give it to them. The only other thing I wanted to remind the council of is that although you all did agree to eliminate the requirement for a three-car garage, we still have a requirement that 50% of these houses have side loadeds, and every lot can take a three-car garage. It's just a matter of whether people elect to have them, but every lot can take a three-car garage, and we think at this price point, probably a good number of them, and probably almost all of the side-loaded garages will be three-car. But we appreciate you letting our clients have a choice. We think it'll be a better-looking subdivision. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. David Patch, you signed up to comment, if you'd like.
Hello, David Patch. I'm representing my mother as well. She's at 6800 Rings Road. Tonight was the first night that I've seen the actual roundabout, so I'm glad that it's actually presented tonight. So I will thank the staff as well as the City Council and MI. They have been willing to work with me, and I do certainly appreciate that. So I haven't seen the plans for the landscaping, but having talked with the folks, I'm sure that, Dublin does things nice, so I'm sure that they will continue in that fact. And I guess my question is that the road that's darker there will be put in and then it's going to be taken out once they put in the roundabout, I'm assuming, rather than leaving it there or something. But
yeah.
But I think it's certainly much better than what I saw at the beginning where the road just came right down next to the fence there. So I'm certainly appreciative of all your help with that, and the applicant as well.
And Mr. Patch, I'll let Claudia speak specifically, but I'm assuming that we're just not to that point yet with respect to the landscaping details.
Yes, correct. We had a meeting on Friday with the applicant as they're moving forward with preparing their final development plan, and that was one of the discussion points we had, that before you bring in this plan, please meet with the Patch family and come up with a design that they are supportive of, plant material and so forth. So
Appreciative of your support.
Okay.
And theirs.
Great. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. There's no other discussion. Ann, if you call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Salee? Yes. Mayor Lucklider?
Yes.
Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
Mrs. Borain? Yes. Mr. Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Moving on with our second readings, ordinance 28-13.
Authorizing the city manager to execute necessary conveyance documentation to acquire a 0.016 acre more or less permanent shared use path, utilities, drainage and grading easement, 0.015 acre more or less temporary easement, 0.017 acre more or less temporary easement from Neil M. and Nancy S. Hahn.
Thank you. Ms. Ott, whenever you're ready.
Good evening. Nothing has changed since first reading after amicable negotiations with Neil and Nancy Hahn. This is to provide for easements for a shared use path along Brand Road at the appraised value.
Any questions? Hearing none, Ann, if you'd call for the vote, please.
Mayor Lucklider?
Yes.
Mr. Keenan?
Yes.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Salee?
Yes.
Mrs. Borain?
Yes.
Very good. Ordinance 29-13.
Authorizing the city manager to execute necessary conveyance documentation to acquire 0.0127 acre more or less fee simple interest with 0.127 acres as present road occupied. a 0.024 acre more or less permanent shared use path, utilities, drainage, and grading easement, 0.015 acre more or less temporary easement, and a 0.017 acre more or less temporary easement from Angela Haley, TOD.
Thank you. Ms. Ott?
We've also had amicable negotiations with Ms. Haley and have come up to agreement at the appraised value for easements needed for the Brand Road shared use path.
Great. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ann, if you call for the vote, please.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mrs. Waring? Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mayor Lucklider? Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Keenan?
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Salee?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to the resolution portion of our agenda, Resolution 20-13.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into contracts with neighboring law enforcement agencies for the use of the Division of Police firearms range.
Thank you. Introduction, please.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you. Chief?
Mayor, members of council, as you know, we just recently completed a big renovation of our firing range. It was built in 1993, along with our building, and had not been renovated since. It was long overdue, and we're very proud of it. This is a resource that is in, there's a big demand for it in the area, and in the spirit of shared services and cooperating with our fellow law enforcement agencies, we'd like to have the ability to share that resource with them, and that's what this resolution will allow us to do.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I'd just like to thank you for your efforts to share this facility and gain some revenue for us. I think it was a really good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, the question I had is probably similar to some of the conversation that we had before, but can you comment on whether this will accelerate the wear and tear on the firing range?
I don't think so. The range, the way we have it refurbished, not to get too technical, but the backstop that basically stops the bullets is a new technology that can take hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rounds, and it'll be cleaned every year as per our contract with the company that maintains it. And, you know, having additional agencies coming in shouldn't have any adverse effect at all. And of course, if there is an adverse effect, we have it built into the contract. They would be responsible to pay for any damages.
And so how did we arrive at the fee?
We basically looked at what other agencies are doing. You know, obviously the fee itself is fairly nominal, but we also feel that most of the agencies we're going to partner with will be able to allow us to partner with them in other ways also. And we are asking for reimbursement for the actual cost of any officers that are on site during the training.
Great. Thank you all very much. Marcia?
And one of the things we will do with regard to the fee is as part of the next cost study update that we do, we will evaluate that fee for appropriateness.
Great. Thank you all very much. If there's no other discussion, Ann, if you call for the vote, please.
Mayor Lucklider?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Salee?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Keenan?
Yes.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
Mrs. Waring?
Great. Thank you. Ms. Grigsby?
The only staff comments, I guess, is more of a question than a comment. I know I saw several council members were looking at the memo on the water tower, the Dublin Road water tower. And so we just wanted to make sure that if there were any comments or any feedback that council had with regard to what's being proposed in the memo.
Any feedback?
Well, I was going to talk about it at roundtable, so this is as good time as any. I prefer the original. I don't think we need to say City of Dublin. I think that's a nice design, and I prefer to see that. It's certainly better than a golf ball.
Yeah, indeed.
Though some of our residents have advocated for the golf ball.
Yes, they have.
You all recall it was quite contentious, the whole process up there, and it just almost seems like it's kind of a...
I was wondering, because I was struck by adding the name too, that the other water towers, you know, we have a signature logo, so I presume that's why we only went with the logo, that people recognize that. And given the location and our neighbor, the Shawnee Hills and everything, I was wondering what was the theory behind why you decided that you'd prefer to add the name?
Yeah, we looked at quite a few different options on this, and part of what we looked at, we wanted to try to keep it as simple as we could. So we did like the original painting scheme that was on there, but we just felt that a lot of water tanks that you see do have the name of the entity, and as part of some of our branding efforts to identify the city's name in addition to the Shamrock.
I do like the, I don't know what you, STEM
The
wouldn't be
stem.
the right word, but
is the right word.
Yeah.
I do prefer that, it is actually the, what you call it?
Column or stem.
Okay. I do like that being painted like that rather than plain that was in the original one at least.
Yeah, we looked at, and the one up at Tartan Ridge is much shorter, and so when we saw this one with the white, it does stand out quite a bit with the stem, so we thought it needed some type of treatment similar to what we do on the larger tanks.
You know, I like the branding idea as well, but why don't we start in the other areas first, would be my view. So
Do what?
Wasn't
to
this,
start in the other area, I mean, we don't have that name on any other tower anywhere else. So as we paint those at some point in the future, that we could add the city of Dublin.
Oh, you mean add it?
Add
in
it,
other
yes.
ways,
But
yeah.
the current one, it just strikes me, given the contentiousness of that whole process up there, why, I don't know why we would do that. That's just my own view.
the only reason I could see, and I guess I had discussion with staff or someone on staff, we were trying to differentiate this for the President's Cup, so that as, you know, Columbus and Dublin are, you know, being identified as the location, obviously that's going to be highly visible.
Yeah,
for the
one of
visitors.
the things we did talk about, and even before we got to the example here, was maybe on the top of the tower, we put Dublin, Ohio, so when the blimp is flying over, and again, it was just for the recognition, and it would be a really good landmark, but then we thought, well, maybe we just ought to do it similar with the branding, and also look at, as the other tanks are repainted or touched up, that we would include the city of Dublin on those as well.
Marcia, I would hope that our marketing people are better at promoting Dublin during the President's Cup than having to paint a water tower with our name on it.
Well, we,
I
Well,
understand, you know.
It's
You know,
not a mad issue for me, so.
You know, I agree with you, Marcia, though. If we're going to end up putting the city of Dublin on all the other tanks eventually, the cost of repainting these are so prohibitive, you may as well just start with this one. And this one gets a lot of traffic, visual traffic, because of the two tournaments coming up, so. I think it makes sense, your program makes sense. If you're going to end up painting the rest of them, and it looks like you are from the pictures, because they're looking like
Well, I
they're
mean, over
slowly
time.
getting due.
Might be 20 years.
As someone who lives in a neighborhood with a water tower, I'll just comment, you know, and I appreciate everybody's comments. I don't know that I'd be so keen on seeing the city of Dublin on the side of the water tower. You know, frankly, you know, it strikes me as more fitting, you know, in an area that's maybe a little more commercial or office-like. You know, but the water tower in Avery Fields, I don't know. I'm not keen on that kind of branding. You know, I think that particular water tower, frankly, is one of the larger water towers. You haven't heard a lot of complaining about it. I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah,
You know, but anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I
Kathy?
agree with you.
I guess I'm confused. Are you saying if we put the city of Dublin's name on this one, that we would change and say city of Dublin on the future ones?
that would be our intent as they come due for repainting.
But if we chose not to do that, then we would not, obviously. We
That's
would keep-
correct.
Okay. Well, I do like the idea of painting the bottom part, because when the foliage comes out, you won't notice it as much, and,
It's just going to blend right in.
I think I would go toward the less, if we're making comments, I would go toward the less, less is better kind of situation.
there
Okay.
enough
Well,
feedback?
I think I'm hearing that keep with the current scheme, painting scheme that we have, with the exception of the stem, and paint it as shown in the proposed. Okay,
Okay.
all right, we appreciate that. Thanks.
Is there anything else, Marcia?
That's it.
Stop me if I'm mistaken, but did the staff want feedback regarding the community plan adoption and maintenance policy?
Yeah, actually, that was one we did put in information if council has any feedback or comments on that to provide that as well. So we can either do that this evening, or if there's any comments that you want to submit to us, we can do that as well.
Yeah. Okay. You can, provide Marcia your comments online or by telephone call. Works for me, Marcia. What's being proposed
That would
here?
be fine.
Okay. Was that it?
That's it.
Great. Okay, let's move on to roundtable then. Mike, you want to lead off, please?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to thank Tim Wagner and Mary Kay and the group there at Human Resources. This update on health reform, he's probably left by now, but it was really well done with respect to the impact of the Affordable Care Act. So thanks for that effort, and it's very, very easy to understand in layman's language, so appreciate that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Rick? Great, thank you. John?
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Thanks. Mary Lee?
I had just a question on the Service Center and City Hall renovations memo, which I'm really pleased to see that we're going to be upgrading things, and so I'm sure the staff will be happy to have that upgrade. But what was the timing of the house being taken down that Community Relations is currently in, or somebody's in?
Community Relation or Events
HR,
Administration,
yes,
sorry,
right, sorry.
will most likely be moving into the Service Center in September, October, so soon thereafter we would be demolishing that home.
And what about the NIROP property? Are we not going to take that house down?
That one we are still looking at. We had some thoughts for it at one point. We've made some investments in it to maintain it. At one point we were talking about a natural history center or something as part of Kaufman Park, but we continue to evaluate that property. And
Yeah, and it's one, we talked about the nature education coordinator and what we could do there. The one issue as you get into that and converting it to a commercial site, there's considerable cost. And then part of the discussion is, do we really want to have some of the staff in isolated locations? So right now we still are involved in discussions and have some different opinions across staff. But right now, my thought is that's probably not something that we want to retain, but we haven't made that formal recommendation or decision to present to council.
Thank you. And I wanted to thank the chief for the special event security memo. Of course, with all the very unfortunate situation going on in Boston last week, I, along with Amy, was able to attend the Homeowners Association, and the question did come up about, mostly because people don't know what we do, and they, and the chief obviously was able to respond about what normally is done for all of our events, and then how those particular incidences would be incorporated, pieces of them would be incorporated into the upcoming. But I'm hoping that maybe the television gentleman would be able to do an interview really with the chief about this, because I think it is of great concern to a lot of people. And people have confidence then in knowing what the police on a regular basis are doing for each of the events, since we certainly have big crowds at all of them, but obviously we have huge crowds at one of them. And sort of along that line with the chief coming up about the contract with the range and all, I think that those incidences, there's, in general, nothing positive about them. But the one thing that is positive about them is to see first responders really all working collectively together. And I think we have always had that kind of collaborative relationships with our fellow, both police and of course fire as well. And this is just another example of that, and it seems insignificant for what it is, but it does continue to build on those partnerships and relationships, and I really appreciate that we take that kind of approach. And it does, in my other life, I do attend these meetings where sheriffs and everybody are at, and they're always commenting about the positive relationships that they have with the Dublin police.
Yeah, a couple items. Monday, as the issues were happening last week in Boston, the chief called me and right away said that one of the things he had called or was going to be calling Allison to set up a meeting to start looking at, and I believe they had their meeting on Tuesday and started working on this. So this is something that, we're very lucky that we have staff that thinks of these things as issues occur, and even ahead of time, the safety and the security that we have at our events. We're pretty fortunate, the efforts that have been taken by our police department and our event staff. And the other thing with regard to the law enforcement, I think when we all start talking about shared services, that's something that they've done forever. So we can kind of look to them to learn maybe how to all get along a little better with some of the things that we do. So I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Is that it, Marilyn? Thank you. Kathy?
I was also curious on a different way. I know the house on Post Road is pretty chopped up since we used it for office buildings, but what's the rationale behind tearing it down instead of repurposing it?
Well, the one item is looking at the cost that it takes to convert it from a residential home to a commercial property. There would be significant dollars, and then you have to look at the space that you gain from that. Is it really worth the cost per square foot to put in versus what we're getting out of that? So we're still looking at that, and at some point, does it make more sense to look at where we are in some of our other facilities, similar to what we're doing at the service complex or service center now, looking at doing some expansion there versus having an additional building and facility that we have to maintain ongoing.
Okay. And the other thing, like Mary Lee, it's always good to have renovation and more light coming in. But one thing that concerned me, and although it says that the front desk is freestanding furniture, is again the security issue, where if you have the desk facing the door, the front door, you have a better view of someone coming in. And if the person is sitting perpendicular to the front door, it doesn't seem safety-wise unless she has a little monitor, or he has a little monitor on the desk to see people approaching the front door. So I wasn't wild about the way they were situating the desks, considering people sit down using their phone, they won't be facing the front door as much as far as security goes. So I kind of like.
Well, we can look at that, but the one thing also too, the way this is facing, there's a door to the side of that they would have access to, where now they're kind of out in the open and really don't have any place to go for safety. And we do have safety features in place as far as buzzers and things like that. So we'll take an additional look at that and see if there's something differently we should look at.
And I don't see Christine here, but I attended the volunteer breakfast given for the, I can't use this word and keep a straight face anymore, the seniors volunteer breakfast. And Marcia, you were also there also along with Matt. The hours, I forget how many hours total, like 14,000 or something like that. And there were several that received the presidential award on their own. So it was a nice event. It was, the people were very happy, frankly. But it's always nice to recognize these volunteers and what they do for the city. Christine has left you all in the back little bags or packages as the gifts that they gave to the volunteers, and they wanted council to also share and have those. They're quite nice, and they depict the city. If you look inside, they have little pictures of the city. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy?
Just a couple things. The first thing, I was able to attend the Homeowner Association President and Leadership meeting last Thursday. It was up at Corazon, and lovely facility, and the attendees all expressed that they really enjoyed having the meeting at different venues, and they liked the idea of country clubs and hotels for their meeting. So I thought that was interesting. Bruce and Lauren did some interesting things with polling the folks on the spot, which was really interesting. to see. It was I think, really well received, very well attended. All the staff that were there did a great job responding to the questions, and I think everybody enjoyed the meeting. I know I enjoyed attending. Goal setting this Friday, we had some discussion via email, and then I had a couple conversations with folks about the visioning exercise where we, get a chance to share our ideas. And I'm going to talk with Julia Novak tomorrow morning, and we're going to change up the idea of that a little bit, since we have done that in the past. And otherwise, we'll just plan to see everybody on Friday at 8 a.m. up at Corazon. I guess breakfast is available at 7:30 for goal setting. And I just wanted to ask about the NIROP property in Kaufman Park, because at one point we had talked about using that when we did the Kaufman Park Task Force. That was the building that we talked about being the nature education place, because it has such a wonderful vista of that pond. It'd be a great place to unobtrusively observe wildlife. So that was sort of that location was the one, and it's closer into the
I don't know,
rec center.
maybe I heard the wrong thing. That's what I
Gotcha.
took the comments to be.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work.
Yes, it does. Yes, it would. All right. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Just to add to Kathy's comments regarding the lobby renovation, just to be certain that we're going to have, some space for display of council memorabilia or whatever. There's some, nice things that are presented to us. It'd be nice. I'm not sure it's all getting displayed now, and anyway, if we just keep that in mind. John or anybody else, I don't know whether you wanted to say anything about the Dublin Arts Council event this Friday. One last pitch.
We're really looking forward to the fact that we're hoping that all of you, and there's a number of new restaurants that are going to be participating. That's pretty exciting. And we're looking forward to the hope that you grab your neighbors, your friends, and instead of just buying 2 tickets, that you buy 4, 6, or 8 and drive up the numbers and show up. There's a lot of wonderful things that are on auction this year, so it's going to be a good time, a lot of fun, a lot of neat things to purchase, and a lot of great food. So we hope you all make it this Friday.
Did you add a live auction?
Yeah, we got a live auction. It's going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be a great venue. It's a wonderful, positive, uplifting evening, and just cruising from station to station to get food and beverages. And so it's going to be I think all the favorites again. Jen's Ice Cream, and everybody should be there. So be a great evening. See you there.
Well, it's a fun time and a good cause. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Finally, this Wednesday in the Abbey Theater, I will be one of the judges for the Senior Idol Contest. If you don't have a ticket, sorry, they're sold out.
I will be willing to scout mine.
So,
I don't know about that.
It's for a good.
anyway, it should be interesting. So, thank you all very much. And I think Kathy had one last thing she wanted to share with us this evening.
Thank you, Tim. And I want to make this sweet and short. As many of you know, when I come to a large decision in my life, I try to look for God's direction. And as many of you also know, for the last 2 years, I've been struggling with a big problem in my life, or decision. And this morning, I got a call, and this call, although it wasn't God who called me, it was someone else. Yeah. But it was
what the caller ID says on that one.
Yeah. Heaven. No, it was very timely, and it was on a Monday morning of a Monday night council. And so a lot of you people won't be surprised, but I am announcing my retirement at the end of this year. And I'm very happy about it. And I think retirement sounds better than not running. So I'm announcing after 20 years my retirement at the end of this year. So I'm I feel very good because of the direction I think I've received, because this has happened in major decisions in my life. And if I wait long enough and listen, it turns out very well. So Thank you all.
Okay, thank you all very much. We're adjourned.